Welcome to the FileAID MVS Online Comparing Source Code module. Here you will be taken through a scenario based on a business case need to compare source code files. As we proceed, understand that every detail and option of every screen will not be covered. When more detail is needed, several options are available. First of all, the FileAID MVS User's Guide and Online Reference Manual are available for download on Frontline. Next, on the FileAID Primary Option menu, access to the tutorial is provided. Finally, on any screen within FileAID, pressing F1 will take you to the corresponding area within the tutorial. In this example, we are on the Compare Source Criteria screen. Pressing F1 for help displays the Compare Source Criteria tutorial screen. Here is the scenario. A production COBOL program failed following a routine maintenance change. It appears that changed lines of code were not tagged in columns 72 through 80. The task is to identify the changed lines. This additional information is available. More than one program may have been changed. The programs are all in the same PDS. A backup file with the original code is available. From the FileAID Primary Option menu, we choose Option 10 for the Compare utility. Next, we must specify the old data set. In most cases, this will be the reliable data set or backup. First, we set the compare mode to source. Then the dataset name is entered. Here we want to compare all members of the PDS, so we use an asterisk in place of a member name. If the member name is left blank, a standard FileAID PDS processing options screen will appear. Standard selection criteria, though available, are not commonly used for source code compares. Next, we must specify the new data set. This will typically contain the corrupt, or at least questionable, programs. The dataset name is entered. On the Execution Options screen, we choose to run this compare as a batch job. We will look at running online a bit later. Compare criteria may be saved and reused, similar to selection criteria. Here we have none. The Compare Source Criteria screen requires user input about the files to be compared. The Compare Criteria area is about how to process the source code. The Exclude Options area is about what not to compare. The Print Options area is all about choices. Here, the defaults are the print options used for the last source compare, which may be just fine. If unsure, or changes are in order, choose Yes. Here we see the first of two print options screens. The detail report print options are grouped together. The basic question answered here is, which reports do you want? The exception to that is the report style choice, standard, which is up and down, or across, which is side by side. Here we choose standard, but we will see examples of across later. On the second print options screen, we choose what we would like to see on the detail report. Keep in mind that there are no right or wrong parameters here. The many choices available allow for tailoring a report to suit your needs. Here we have chosen to print only changed lines with contextual help. COBOL context ID lines are division lines, section lines, O1 layout levels, and paragraph names. Another significant option chosen is to underline changes, which may be difficult to find, especially in long programs. With the criteria build complete, the compare is ready to run. We press Enter to create the batch JCL. On the JCL specification screen, we enter the JCL command to edit the generated JCL. Here we have modified the syslist DD statement to write the report to a specific dataset. Batch processing for this example was chosen near the beginning on the execution options screen shown here. If online processing had been chosen instead, all of the subsequent screens would be the same up to the criteria build complete screen, where the first option would be Enter to execute. The report would display directly on the screen in a browse session along with the compare completed message. Note that the report is contained in a temporary file. Upon ending this browse session, you would have the option to print the report. Choosing Yes displays the standard FileAID print parameters screen. This source compare has been run 5 times using different reporting options. We will briefly examine portions of the detail reports. The complete reports may be downloaded. Begin by clicking on the Attachments tab. Here in Exhibit 1, all lines were compared, only changes were printed, and context lines were requested. We see 2 lines delimiting a change block. The context lines appear before and after that block. The old and new lines are labeled to the left. The changed line includes a change from upper to lower case and added text. For Exhibit 2, comments were not compared, only changes were printed, and no context lines were requested. Notice that shifted code, though not changing the program logic, was requested to be displayed as a change. For Exhibit 3, comments were not compared and all lines were printed. The X prefix denotes that these comment lines were excluded from the compare. For Exhibit 4, comments were not compared, all lines were printed, and the across format was requested. Here we look to the center for the status as it applies to the lines to the right and to the left. Finally, for Exhibit 5, comments were not compared, only changes were printed, no context lines were requested, and the across format was requested. This concludes this module. Thank you.